We all want to be healthy. We go to the gym, we eat well, we get lots of sleep, and we take our supplements. But what about your dogs? Hi, everyone. Maureen Scanlon, your host of I Never Knew podcast. Everyone who knows me knows how much I adore my dogs. That's why I wrote 2 books about them. And now I'm offering a wonderful place for you to buy healthy treats, holistic, 3 ingredients. We have Paw Balm that's lickable for your dog's pads and toe beans, as well as organic shampoo bars, healthy treats with only 3 ingredients, and also fun stuff, matching dog parent furry kit apparel, safety products, dog parties. So go to mydogiseverything.net, where we are rewarding our canine friends with healthy and fun gifts they deserve.
Hello there, and welcome to the I Never Knew podcast, also known as Inc. This show dives into the life experiences of people who have been through it all and have come through the other side stronger, better, and triumphant. Each story is raw, authentic, and, at times, heartbreaking. One thing joins it all together: the fact that the stories can help the listener learn and grow. Hosted by life coach Maureen, she sits down each episode with a new guest who will empower the listener to set out on their self-discovery journey and start to heal. Now you'll be joined by Maureen and her special guest. Please enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of I Never Knew podcast by life coach Maureen. And I'm adding my title. I'm going to add something that is my brand, that is me, and you'll understand later. This will come out after I've done this. But I'm changing it to I Never Knew, but my dog did. So that's my brand. It's my dog. I am launching my online store tomorrow in a live video. And it's My Dog Is Everything Boutique, where I offer healthy treats for our dogs and products that are safe and fun for dog parents and dogs. So I thought I would add in some dog stuff to the title of the podcast, because dogs know everything and they're unconditionally loving. And that's what our goal is here. And my next guest is no exception. Oh my gosh, you talk about an overcomer. When I read her story, I was just blown away. And I'm always blown away by every guest and the ability to find the good in the struggle and then bring it forward to everybody else. And it's everything that I live for. It's everything I do. And when I meet kindred souls that do the same thing, it's just always in synchrony. So today we are going to meet Danielle Matthews. Now, at the age of 23, Danielle was hit by a drunk driver and sustained a life-altering injury to her brain. The medical world said there was no hope of recovery. We hear that often, and told her to accept this life as her new normal. Although her body was physically impaired, her spirit was strong, and she refused to believe their diagnosis. Her mind was determined to recover, and she did. Through the power of what she refers to as mind control, she attracted the mindset, techniques, and exact quantum healing technologies needed to fully recover. She has since built an international business, authored an ebook called Mind Control, and shares her life-altering experience with countless people around the globe, including all of us and my listeners today. Welcome, Danielle.
Hey, Maureen. Thanks for having me.
How incredible your story is, and that it's funny when the medical community, and I hear this often, I have guests that, been in these traumatic car accidents or, even traumatic experiences in their life. And it's almost like the medical community sometimes just says, Too bad, so sad. All we do is fix your immediate urgency, and the rest is like, yeah, whatever. And it frustrates me. What I love though is it brings out the intuitive nature of people and creativity. Like, I'm gonna find a way. You may say there's not a way, but I'm gonna find a way. So, oh my gosh. So 23 years old, a drunk driver. Tell us your story. How did it happen? Where were you?
Yeah, I was actually in Baltimore. So I grew up in Maryland, in a little town called Riva. It's like outside of Annapolis, Maryland. And at the time, I was coming home. I was coming home for a wedding, and it was my friend's birthday. And so I'd spent the night in Baltimore City. I was up early, like 7 a.m., going to meet my parents to go to this wedding. And for those of you that know Baltimore, I was on South Charles Street, and it's one way each way. And here's what's so crazy: I've never been in an accident before. And it's like the world slowed down, because what happened in seconds, but to me it was like a slow motion movie, right? I saw the car tire like come over the yellow line, and I remember thinking like, oh, he must be turning, because I was going to turn also, and then like he didn't turn at the road, and I thought, well, maybe he's swerving around something, and I'm looking in his lane and there's nothing in the lane. So then, like a normal thing, I look up to look at the driver, like, hey, what are you doing? And he was just completely passed out, slumped over. And at that point, like, there really wasn't anywhere for me to go. There's parallel parked cars on either side of the road. Your intuition doesn't tell you, your instinct, I should say, your instinct doesn't tell you to swerve like towards oncoming traffic, right? So I would have swerved, excuse me, to the right, but there were cars. And so we hit head on, which honestly, it turned out to be a blessing, because the car took a lot of the impact. And one second. Excuse me. And, my body was okay, but my head, like, it must have hit my skull, so the cars hit, my car spins, I see his car continue going down the road. And I remember thinking, oh my God, my dad is going to kill me. Like, this guy's driving away. I'm driving my sister's car. Like, I'm just visiting, like what the heck this morning just became. And, then like that car, I guess he woke up and he swerved and he went off the road. But it was so interesting because there were 10 people on the road that morning running. It was a group of runners from Baltimore, and 5 of them came to my car. The others went to, the other guy's car, and I seemed fine. And this is where it's like, it's crazy to me, because we walked they got me out of the car and they sat me down. And I remember the girl saying to me, do you want to call your parents? And, or is there anyone to call? And I said, I need to call my parents, and she said, well, where's your phone? And I couldn't find my phone. So someone went to go look for my phone. She said, well, use mine. And she handed me her phone, and I didn't know what to do with it. And that should have been my first, like, oh, something's wrong.
Wow.
But I didn't, because my brain was injured, I didn't have the ability to look outside of the situation, kind of like step back and go, Danielle, that's not normal.
Yeah.
I just said, hey, can you call them? And I gave her the phone back, right? And she said, what's your phone number? And of course, I've had the same phone number since I was a little kid. So the phone number came out, no problem. And that was how it went down that morning. The next thing I know, the paramedics were there. They looked me over, but I looked fine. I just had burns from the airbag. And I kept saying to them, like, I kind of feel out of it. And they said, oh, you're just in shock. Like, this is what happens after an accident. You're just in shock. And I said, okay, well, I've never been in shock before, so this is what shock feels like. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I got with my parents. They came to the accident scene, and they took me to an urgent care, and still there, sort of like they missed it. And this was a concussion clinic, but they said, oh, you're going to have some whiplash, and like, this is just shock. You're going to feel fine. And, the next, couple of weeks, the fine feeling wasn't coming, right? And I was getting severe migraines. I couldn't concentrate. I mean, it felt like someone was crushing my head. And finally, my primary care doctor said, you need to go to a neurologist. And I got to the neurologist. They took CT scans. Like, this is the crazy thing with brain injury. And I like to shed some awareness on it, because you look fine, and some scans, unless you have a severe brain injury, they don't pick up the issue. So I didn't have a bleed. I was still walking, talking, everything seemed fine. Like literally my neurologist said to me, well, Danielle, you have what's classified as a mild traumatic brain injury. And he said, this is the state we try to get people with brain injury to. So there's nothing for us to do. And I was like, oh, what?
And that sounds like an oxymoron. Sorry. Mild traumatic.
I do it all the time. Yes.
I mean, that's silly jumbo shrimp, right? I mean, come on. It's a traumatic brain injury. And there we go. Again, this is a theme in my podcast continuously. These medical misdiagnoses where they're only dealing with the worst of the worst, the elderly and the worst. It's like they don't take that into consideration. So thank you for the awareness. So what did you do?
Well, I'm really stubborn. I've been I've been an athlete my whole life. So you push through things. Okay. So at the time I was doing Teach for America and I was on my summer break. So I had to go back to work and teachers usually about the month before were like prepping, and it's just teachers in the classrooms. And I went in and I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the noise. I couldn't handle the lights. So my principal said to me, well, just go home, do your lesson planning from home, and, be ready for kids on day one. And again, I didn't have the awareness. So it was taking me 12 hours to do a lesson plan. But I have the lights off. I'd be at my desk, I'd be trying to do it. I'm like, man, I'm tired. And I go and I nap. And then I wake back up and I start doing stuff again, and I'd forget that I had already done what I just was doing now, but there was no one else around, right? So no one's going, Danielle, this isn't normal. And I'm not realizing it's not normal. Then day one with kids, I couldn't remember their names. I couldn't remember what I had just said. I was standing in the front of the classroom, like, holy cow. And I said to my principal, I can't do it. I went on a medical leave and we tried some things. I tried hyperbaric oxygen treatments. I did neurobiofeedback. We got me on all sorts of supplements. Like my grandfather was a doctor. Okay. So I had grown up with Western medicine, and you're exactly right. Like they are good with extreme diagnoses. They're really good at diagnostics, right? Well, this is what you have, and then what do we do with it? Well, if it's a trauma, we can do some stuff to keep you alive. But from there, it's sort of like, we'll patch it maybe with like a medicine, but we can't help you heal the underlying issue. But there's nothing to patch with brain injury, right? They're just like, there's nothing we can do. It might clear up and it might not. And I was told, give it a month. I was told 3 months, 6 months. We'll get to what they told me at the 1 year point. But my mom, I don't know if it was in reaction to my grandfather or what, but my mom got into the alternative space. So my mom ran a yoga studio in Annapolis, very successful, and she would do different trainings. She'd have different programs coming through. And so my whole life, I was always exposed to all sorts of different things. Ayurvedic medicine, acupuncture, chiropractic, body work, all the stuff. And so she tapped into that network, and we were able to do some things there, but still it was like, if I'd been a 10 out of 10, maybe I was an 8 out of 10, it was like there had been some improvement, but nothing was touching it. And ultimately I had a 6-week medical leave. I went back and I couldn't do it. And so I lost my job, and they said to me, when you're healthy again, we'd love for you to come back to work. But with that, this is what was so traumatic for me is all of a sudden I couldn't earn an income. So I could no longer pay rent. So I ended up having to move back in with my family, 23 years old now, completely dependent on my parents financially, which was not a space I ever thought I'd be in, and did a lot to me psychologically,
Yeah.
And, I couldn't hang out with friends. I used to snowboard every weekend. I mean, I was a big athlete, I couldn't do anything. And so here I found myself in a dark room, basically able to sleep. And I started to have panic attacks. I went through severe anxiety. I went into a depression, and it was really, really difficult. Super difficult. And then at the 1 year point, my neurologist said to me, Danielle, with your type of injury, your body's done all the healing that it will do. And at this point, you need to just accept this as your new normal, and you need to shape your life around your symptoms, and you need to move on.
Oh.
And I was like, You're fired.
Yeah. Thanks for nothing, doc. Thanks all this money that I paid for the last year. I mean, your whole identity changed. It's
Really?
not just the physical, and that's how, physical, emotional, and mental are all tied in. And you're an active girl. You're an independent girl. You are, you need these outlets, and suddenly you're in a dark room and you can't function. And I can't even imagine the impact. And those are the stories right now that I always say, we get to that point where I can't go any further except to go further. So I have to change something. Something's not working, and now I got to do something else, because I can't live like this for the rest of my 80 years on this planet. It's
not a life worth living. I remember like walking out of there going, if this is my life, like there's not going to be a life. Like I'm not living this life.
Yeah.
And because I was in such severe pain, I mean, you can't handle my sort of input. So like talking to people, I was also just rude, because I'm like, I don't have the bandwidth to take in whatever you want to say right now. Like you need to just leave me alone. And I've always been like super, like I am now, like I've always been this way, like going and whatever. So it was interesting. I watched, there's always these moments, right? You look back in life and you see like these inflection points. And I can look back, and there was a movie I watched. It was called The Crash Reel. And it's with Kevin Pierce. It's a documentary. He was a big snowboarder. Mm-hmm. And he was preparing for the Olympics. He was competing with Shaun White, for those that know snowboarding, top of the game. And he sustained a brain injury while he was, getting ready. And they were filming, and they kept filming. And I'm so grateful they did, because they filmed his recovery process. Now, he had a more severe TBI than myself, but he came through that, and he made a foundation called Love Your Brain, and he started to bring brain injury people together, and he started to create awareness about it. Because back then, like we're talking 10 years ago, there's more awareness about brain injury now because of the wars that we've been in, our veterans coming back, and the football, players and all that. But 10 years ago, it was not where it is now. And so he started this movement. And what the thing that caught me was, this man found happiness again. And I thought, okay. And this is where everything changed, because I said, all right, life is like this. You've got the external world plus your internal response. That creates your reality. And I thought, the external world, I can't change. I've been pushing, fighting, trying to get back. All it's done is leave me depressed, anxious, having panic attacks, feeling awful. And I said, I can't change the injury. I can't go back and change that day. Fine. What can I do? I can choose my own internal response to it. And I thought, okay, so how do I want to be? And I thought, I want to find happiness again. I want to find joy again. I want to be present. I want to, I want all these things. And so I started a gratitude journal. And every single night before I went to bed, I would figure out one thing to write down I was grateful for. And I used to just sit there and stare at the paper, because I'm like, there's nothing. I thought it was all gone.
Right.
And then it was like, no, like I had the best strawberries on my salad today. Like they were delicious. And then, a friend called me, or this or that. And all of a sudden it was like, I could think of hundreds of things in my day that I was grateful for. And I literally rewired my brain. Unbeknownst, to me, what exactly I was doing, my mom at the same time suggested I start Yoga Nidra, which is a guided meditation. And you have to lay down in a dark room to do it. And I thought, well, that's what I'm doing anyway.
Might as well make some use of the dark and the laying down.
Let's get intentional with it. So what's interesting with Yoga Nidra, it's like other meditations, but they take you through, breath and body and awareness techniques to get you into the meditative state. And then when you're in that state, they insert an intention. And I think it's so beautiful, because our conscious mind is so hard to change. It's like ice, right? It's solid. We're programmed. And then you get into the meditative state, and it's like it becomes like liquid, and all of a sudden you can drop an idea in there, like Inception. You put the idea in, and then it comes back frozen with that new idea cemented in. And so I started to do the intention, I am open and patient. Sometimes I would do, I am at peace amidst the chaos. And so what happened was literally, I shifted. Like it was like the anxiety dissipated, the depression dissipated. All of a sudden I was happy. I was finding things to do that brought me joy. and it was like I was creating just like a new life for myself. I was spending time with my grandparents in a dark room because they didn't mind. And I was learning about my family history. Like I had such precious moments with my grandparents that, when you're younger, I don't think you appreciate them as much. In my 20s, it's like I had time to like really see them as people and understand the journey they've been through and the wisdom they carried. Holy cow. And, I started to cook. I started to just do other stuff, right? Yes. Like I had the time to do.
Yes.
And I found happiness. And what was so beautiful was it rippled out to my parents. It rippled out to the handful of friends that were still standing by me, because a lot of friends left. And that was something that was super interesting. It was like, well, what my therapist said is he said, Danielle, it's as if your light, the light that's being shined in your life right now about how we're here by a thread. Anything can change in a moment. It's too intense for these people. Yeah. They don't know what to do with you. They don't know. They feel sorry for you. They feel bad. Like they can't handle it in their own life, that reality. And so they dropped off. Like I can't tell you how many people just disappeared.
Yes.
And
it's like it's unmatched energy is what it is. And when you're ever changing, the people who were in a phase of a life when you were matching that energy, they're no longer there. And I've just ended an 18-year friendship with someone because of that. I read something in an article the other day, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but this really helped me. It said, when we come here, we have this contract of what we want to do and the people that are in our lives. And when we have a soul contract with someone else, it's not always forever. And when people fall away or you need to end those relationships, you just say, that contract is over. Yeah. I love that perspective. I love being able to say, instead of saying, oh, they're toxic, they're bad for me, or, oh, they made me mad, or this is what happened. I love just saying our contract ended because we're no longer at a matched energy. So, and that makes sense when you go through something traumatic, people's fear comes out in that way where it's like, I love you, but I'm scared more than I love you. So I gotta go. I love you over here. I'm gonna be over here. So go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, to go on that a little bit, like soul contracts are incredible to me because like you think about even the family that you choose. I believe that we choose the family we come in with. And so like we have contract with certain people to teach us certain lessons and help reveal certain things. So through Yoga Nidra, so through this guided meditation, right, to tie that back to that, it helped me so much that when I got well, and we'll talk about how I got myself well, I said, I want to learn Yoga Nidra and I want to bring it to other people. So I ended up going to the Amrit Yoga Institute and I got training on Yoga Nidra. Now I thought I was going there to like learn how to teach meditation. No, it was an intensive and yogic philosophy and why Yoga Nidra was designed as a tool to help people. And during that time, I'll never forget the teacher sharing this. She said, groups of souls, the yogis believe, groups of souls travel together in order to create the weather patterns in your life to trigger the karmic seeds within you to come out. And so when I thought about this, I said, okay, so she said, a garden, right? It has to have the right amount of rain, water, sunshine, whatever, in order for whatever is in it to grow, those seeds to come out from underneath. Otherwise, they stay hidden underneath. And for us, like our journey, I believe now, going through what I went through, I truly believe that we are here to simply grow and create more self-awareness of our own, and push past things, let go of things that are unfinished from our past, resolve them. And so every single person, interaction, situation is designed in this game of life to help you see what's unresolved within you that needs to have some light shed on it so that you can deal with it. So I always say your triggers are your teachers, right? When that person, that situation triggers you, like we so easily blame the person because they make us feel a certain way, but that feeling is actually inside of you.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that self-worth feeling, that fear of abandonment, that fear of not being loved, that whatever, where you're like, oh, my boyfriend doesn't treat me well enough or whatever it might be. Like, no, you have this fear of abandonment, perhaps. Oh, you're jealous, right? Well, maybe you think someone's going to leave because there's a fear of abandonment. They didn't do anything, right? It's within you. And I just think what a beautiful, like when you understand the gift that's being given to you by these people that are triggering you, by my car accident, right? By this life situation. It's like, oh my gosh, that's the greatest gift I've ever been given, because it made me stop in life. It forced me to be present with myself, to figure out, where is happiness able to come from, right? Who am I really? What's really here? Right. And it like, I didn't have time to ask those questions before. I was so just like going in life, so engaged in it that I didn't really understand the bigger picture.
Sometimes the brakes are put on your life, literally, and your brakes were literally put on. And as I was like listening to you, I'm thinking, you would have never stopped and spent time with your grandparents the way that you did. You would have never explored the passion that was in you for yoga and the more holistic approach to healing ourselves. I mean, you think about it, a lot of people, when we do these podcasts, also, there's a lot of controversy over, everything's meant to happen, or, there's a reason for everything. And I have a lot of guests that are like, no, there was no reason for this to happen. And I'm like, no, not particularly the way that you experienced it. You didn't want that, but you did want the experience. And when you can I always say, when you turn that pain to gratitude, it's when you've learned the lesson. And then if you reprogram, like you said, when these bad experiences come or these difficult people come, if you stop, instead of saying, you're doing this to me, you say, what am I trying to learn? What am I trying to learn? And then you're responsible for the thing that you have to create or you have to heal. So,
well, Maureen, and this is like, to me, this is the magic. And like, everyone gets stuck because they think, well, the external world, I'm a victim, this and that, they're at mercy to it. Their emotions are bringing them all over the place. And I'm like, no, that equation I shared, external world plus your internal response is your reality. When you realize you have a choice, all of a sudden you take the power back. And like, sometimes it's uncomfortable because you got to look at stuff that's not pretty inside of you. And it's like, I don't really want to go there, but go there, because when you get rid of that stuff, it allows you to elevate, to the next frequency. But here's the powerful thing is, when you realize that you have control, you get to start choosing the thoughts you have, where you're going to put your focus, what you want to create. You start to say no to the things that don't serve that ultimate thing. And like, no one can take this from you. Like, this is an internal thing.
Yeah. And
when you realize the laws of our universe, right, and you start to realize that, okay, so the vibration that I hold will literally attract certain things to me. And if stuff's going on in your life that you don't like, it's probably because there's a lesson you're supposed to be learning, because there's I call it a seed in there, right, that hasn't been realized, that hasn't been dealt with, that hasn't been resolved, and it's keeping you at a lower frequency. Once you dissolve it, once you address it, like, the antidote's in the obstacle. Like, you've got to figure out why the challenge is placed there so you can get past it, and then you elevate to this other frequency, and then you attract in from there. And like, that's what, unbeknownst to me, that's what I was doing in my life. Now I understand it. But when I switched, okay, and I started to find gratitude, and I started to be in this space of gratitude, literally, we got a phone call from an acupuncturist that said to my mom, I've come across something in my practice that I haven't seen in all of my years. Every single one of my clients is getting benefit from it. It's going in and it's stimulating cellular repair. And so each client is repairing where they need it. And she said, I believe it would pass the blood-brain barrier and it could help Danielle. And it was like, holy cow. So my mom intuitively trusts her friend, buys it, brings it home. My degree's in biology. So, and I didn't realize all this stuff about attraction. I didn't realize what we had done, right? And so the answer is here on a silver platter right in front of my face. And I missed it. I was like, Mom, this sounds way too good to be true. And the stuff it's made from saline, which, I mean, we're sacks of saline. So I thought, okay, so the body uses sodium and chloride, and it uses hydrogen and oxygen to make a lot of different molecules. But like, I didn't understand what these people had done and created. I ignored this for 6 months. Like, answer is literally sitting at my house now. And I'm ignoring it. And I laugh because so many times, like, I don't know, people in here too, like, you're looking for something and you think it's going to turn in a certain way. Like I was expecting to wake up one day and be healed. Like I was like, no, that's like, it's just going to happen. Right?
Yes.
Not
And you're not even looking for it. You're not even, you're like waiting for this big aha moment when it's literally like right here nagging you on the side. And I think that's normal, that we have to reach a certain level of readiness to accept whatever it is that catapults us to the next level or the next vibration, right?
Yeah. Well, on that readiness too, it's interesting because it's like, not that I had completely started to identify with my brain injury and that's what I wanted my life to look at. Like, I think I had just had an acceptance of like, this is how it is. I found happiness here. And then this idea of potentially this could make it go away. Potentially you can get your life back. It was like, like, do I dare hope? Do I become cautiously optimistic? Right. And I've watched so many people in the years since then, because I've turned around and helped a lot of people. They're so identified with their illness and injury that they're actually, it's not conscious, but like subconsciously, it's like they don't want the cure, because who are they without it? They're getting attention, they're getting love, they're not having responsibility. They're identified with it. And it was interesting. I eventually, through my parents, right? My parents drink this stuff. It's called a CO redox. Okay. Redox signaling molecules. My parents drink it. 6 weeks into drinking it, my mom, who's had bone on bone in her hands, can't make a full fist, like lots of inflammation, she gets full range of motion back in her hands within 6 weeks. So yeah, most people would go, incredible. I was like, Mom, it's a placebo. Hard. And then
that darn logistical mind, logical mind was taking over. Yeah.
That degree of mine, it was fabulous, but put it in a box. So then my dad starts taking it because he's like, well, if it helped your joints, I got a bad knee. So my dad's drinking it. 10 days into drinking it, my dad is literally running without a brace on his knee, rowing without a brace on his knee. Like, he works out every day. He goes, I feel like I'm 30 again. He's in his mid 50s. And he says to my mom, like, what's the research on this stuff? Because as an athlete, like, I can feel such a massive shift in my body. And my mom said, well, I don't know. And the company was relatively new at the time, but all of their research had actually been done with athletes and looking at how it increases endurance, how it shifts the way you metabolize so you can go further before hitting your wall, how it helps with repair post-workout. Because it's just, again, right, it's identifying damaged cells, which when we work out is all we're doing.
Yeah.
We're doing things to rebuild. So it helps the rebuild happen faster. So my dad comes back to me and he says, listen, Danny, ASEA didn't make up this term redox. It's a massive field of science. He just said it was too new for you to have in a textbook to learn in school. And so you need to open your mind here. You need to try this stuff. It can't hurt you, completely non-toxic. It won't contraindicate with your medicine. Like, take it and let's see what it brings you. And I thought, all right, there's some logic there.
Wow. That's some incredible parents you have. I have to say, you are very blessed to have them, or you brought them, obviously you asked for them in this life, but to have that.
Thank goodness I did.
Yeah, that's a major support system right there, because I love my parents to death, but they're so old school and it's just medication and doctors, and that's the only cure, or surgeries. And I'm so far the other way that I could never suggest. I've asked my dad to try CBD, but no, yeah. So that's cool. Cool to your parents.
Cool. And I'm always honest with this, because I was not nice to my parents. I was like, you're wasting your money and this is stupid. But I drank it, and I drank 8 ounces of this stuff, and nothing happened for me immediately. But the 3rd month, I had pounding that had been relentless since the day of my accident. It stopped. 2 years that pounding had been in my brain. It stopped. And I remember thinking, oh my God, if that's all this stuff does, like, this is amazing. I can live life again. I was still sensitive to noise, still sensitive to life, but with that pounding done, I was like, holy cow. And then I started to have energy again, and I could like focus for extended periods again. It was like the mud that had been in my brain. It was like, it was clear, And I remember my cognitive therapist talk again about an inflection point. So my cognitive therapist, I've been seeing this woman weekly for over a year at this point. And she said to me, Danielle, I have worked with brain injury for over 30 years. And she said, I've never witnessed someone have such a rapid recovery so far out from their initial trauma. She said, with this type of injury, it doesn't happen. We'll never forget. She said, what the hell is that stuff that you started drinking? And I had to laugh. And I said, I thought it was salt water. I said, I have no clue what it is. And she goes, well, all my other clients need to know about it. Let's figure it out. And that led to her and I getting on the phone with a member of the medical board of this company, ASEA. And I will never forget the doctor, like my therapist is just oozing with excitement. Like, this happened to Danielle, 3 months, what's going on? And he was like, totally just nonchalant, like, oh, of course. He was like, well, how much was she drinking? Like, how long did it take? And I'm like, what does this man know that all the other doctors don't know?
Yeah.
I'm told new normal, incurable, chronic, right? And he's over here like, yeah, it was just a matter of like, serving and time. And I'm like, so I started to listen with a different ear, It's like, okay, he knows something. And he started to explain the body is saline. The body uses sodium, chloride, hydrogen, and oxygen. It makes all these different molecules. When they end up net negative, they're called reductants. Net positive, they're called oxidants. And so the biologist in me, right, is super excited about this conversation, because what he went on to say was that the body makes these molecules and they're the signaling system. So they are what keep your genes turned on. They're what activate antioxidants. They are what alerts the system when there's a mutation, alerts the system when there's a cut, damage. It's like how you heal, right? If you cut yourself. And he said, you make less as you get older. And so the body's ability to detect these things goes down. And he said, that's why we see things creep up that the body usually would not want in there or have in there. And he said, with you were young, but you had a lot of trauma. And so it was like having 1 bar of service on your cell phone. And like, you can't do anything with that. And he said, there's not a challenge we haven't seen this stuff touch, because it's non-specific. It's not like a cell in your lung communicates one way and the cell in the blood another way. Like they all talk the same way. And I remember thinking, the potential of this is so massive. And I thought, this has been placed in my lap for a reason. Like, I'm a biologist. I used to be a teacher before, this accident. I've now gone through a incredible healing experience, myself. And now I'm in a position that I could help a lot of other people. And I thought, that's why this all happened. And here I am now, able with a very strong voice to be able to say to people, there's hope. There are options. This is something that could support you and help you. And Maureen, like, fast forward now, this was 8 years ago. I've literally helped thousands of people learn about this. I've watched hundreds of people's lives transform, and I've gotten to help people all over the world. It's like, sometimes I step back and I'm like hearing you read my bio at the beginning. It's like, I feel like I'm listening to somebody else's movie. How is this my life? Like,
right?
This is it, and it's just like, I'm realizing now I get to create my world. Like, I made the choice to say, this is my destiny to do this. I made the choice to tell people. I made the choice to keep my focus there. And because of that, my external world now is one that's filled with miracles on a daily basis. I get paid in goosebumps. I watch the most incredible things happen, and I get so much gratitude expressed back to me. And it's like, what a beautiful way to live.
Yes, girl. Yes. And, people are so destined to find or, really desperate, I should say, to find their passion. But you didn't find your passion. Your passion found you. Yes. And through the experience, you had to do all of that. How can I believe you if you found this before you went through everything you went through, and you sat in front of me as a 23-year-old girl telling me about this stuff? Would I believe you as much as I would as you went through all of this stuff? And now I can look at you with your testimony and go, oh, I'm sold.
Right.
And that's really what it is when you have that gratitude for the journey that brings you to a place where you get to share it with others.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw a little controversy in here. My biggest frustration with the world and Western medicine is why they don't embrace more of these things and understand these things. This stuff should be common knowledge, We know it's money driven. We know it's politics. We know it's the big pharma, big insurance.
Can we go on that just for 1 minute?
Yes, we can go on it for 100 minutes.
Okay. How much time we got left?
make me go this way, go some.
Yeah, well, it's like, I didn't know, right? So I trusted our medical community, thinking, well, they know what's best. They'll have the solutions. Everything's there, right? And then push came to shove. I needed something. They didn't have the answer. And like we said at the beginning, there is a purpose and a place, and they're very good at certain things. Diagnostics, helping with trauma, helping with severe issues, like very good. Being proactive or helping the root of an issue as to why it even developed in the first place, like that's not what our medical, that's not how they're trained, And so what's so crazy is they are so like force fed by the pharmaceutical industry. They have such a role in how our doctors are told to do medicine. And that is a whole thing in and of itself. Like this technology, okay, the ability to create these redox signaling molecules, they figured out how to do it. It was by mistake, which to me is divine intervention.
Oh, there are no mistakes or coincidences.
Yeah, exactly. So they figured this out. They realize what they have their hands on. They start taking it down for actually like drug approval. This is like where the biotech company that had it, that's the direction they were going. That's where they did all this safety data. I mean, there's always hoops you have to jump through. Like it takes millions to create a medicine. And so during that process, they ran out of money. And someone on their board was like, hang on a second, you have something so powerful here. He put a team of investors together. He buys it simply to flip it and sell it to big pharma. All right. Like you would flip a house. So he gets into negotiations with the pharmaceutical company about the technology. They're over the moon. They're like, we're going to write you a check. You're not going to want to talk to anybody else. Like, we want it. During that process, though, when they were there ready to sign, they said, look, your beta test group's going to have to come off of it, and you're going to need to stop production. And the gentleman in charge, Vertus Norton, he said, don't you think that's a bit harsh? Because there are people using this right now that I can't look them in their eyes and tell them they can't get it anymore. Can you imagine someone saying to me, like, sorry, Danielle, go back to your world of injury, right?
Yeah. Ripping the rug right from underneath you.
Yeah. And of course, this landed in a man's hands that had integrity, because what he said was, well, the pharma company said to him, people have been doing what they know the best with their health for a long time, doing the best they can. They'll find something else that's not on you. And he said, no, it is on me. And he backed away. He said no to a multi-million-dollar deal. This man was 69 years old. Okay. He was retired. This was like a fun thing he was doing in retirement. And he came out of retirement. He said, I'll figure out a way to get this to the masses. And so this is what's super interesting. Like this farm, some people say, well, why would they shelve it? Like, why wouldn't they want it out there? And I'm like, just ask yourself a few questions here.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to tell you how to think, and I don't want to tell anyone listening to this how to think, but like, where is the incentive? Is it in sick care, or is it in, you not being on a medicine, right?
Yeah, exactly. What keeps the money coming in for them is keeping you sick. And the healthcare community, and I've been in it for 30 years. I started in nursing. I worked in an ER trauma center. I've worked for a lab.
The inside. Okay.
Yep, the laboratory I worked for 26 years. No preventative tests are ever covered for anything. Yes. So we're going to pay thousands for chemo once you get cancer, but before that, if we could do something prior like this, let's change those cells. I had endometriosis, took CBD, cured the endometriosis without surgery. And that's the only way to find endometriosis. Currently, actually today, I had an appointment with my arthritis doctor. And this is so great we're talking about this, because this is my soapbox. Being from the inside and being from the patient and being from the billing side as well. So I have all sides of this. So I have an arthritis, a rheumatologist, and I got diagnosed with RA when I was 38 years old. I'm now 52. And I was on methotrexate, which is terrible for you. All the all the immune medications, all those side effects causes cancer, causes this. I won't take any of those. But there was one that worked really well for me. So I got a new arthritis doctor, And I've been taking like an anti-inflammatory. It's just not touching the pain. I'm just, I live with this extreme pain every day. And they don't know what it is. And this is what you were saying. They're great at stabilizing you for something. But if you are not in the norm, if you don't fall in, and I had this with another podcast guest where her daughter was a juvenile and had a very rare cancer, and they misdiagnosed her with a panic and eating disorder, and she died. Came out of pediatric ICU and literally died at 17 years old. It was missed because they're only doing lab work that's standard. We're just going to do a CBC, a CMP. If everything looks great, that's fine. You're fine. You're fine. I don't care. I know you know your body, and Mom, I know you know your kid's body, but you're fine because everything looks normal to us. Right. So in my case, with the extreme pain that I'm in, they're going to do the catch-all fibromyalgia. They're just going to say, you have all over pain, Maureen. Yeah, no kidding. Thanks for the title. Thanks for whatever it is you're saying I have.
Exactly.
So she says, there's this, she goes, this medication that we can put you on. And I said, oh, I did use that years ago and it worked wonderful. I had to stop taking it because the insurance I was on at the time wouldn't pay for it. And I'm on different insurance that I pay $800 a month for. Think about that. $800 a month for this health insurance. So my doctor calls it into the pharmacist and I get a notification. There's a problem with this medication. And I get a letter saying, this is not going to be authorized. You need to use 2 of these anti-inflammatory medications before they will pay for this medication. What? I have the letter. I literally have the letter.
Who's the doctor here? It's unbelievable.
I know.
These are just as much a part of the problem. The whole thing's a crazy nightmare.
That's exactly it. When I heard your story and when I hear all my guests, everyone has a story like this where, wait a minute, I'm the patient. I know what works for me. Why do you want to pay?
Why can't I do?
Why are you going to pay for something that doesn't work for me? Right. Because this medication's more expensive and it doesn't have a generic. Wow. The money comes before the patient. The money comes before well-being. Doctors are the middleman and pharmacies and insurance companies are the boss. It's really, really unfortunate.
I think when a system is run like that, it won't last. And here's where I can shine some hope on there, because I truly believe, and I think what we went through over the last several years, some people woke up to this more, and it's like, all right, I need to take ownership again. I get to decide. I get to go out there and I will take into consideration what my doctor is saying and their knowledge and their expertise. But I'm also going to search out these other people that perhaps have Eastern medicine knowledge, or someone like myself I've walked the walk of what it takes to repair your cells, to say, look, I've helped I'm an expert. I'm at the forefront of redox. I've been doing this for 8 years. Yes, I can tell you countless number of people with your issue. You specifically, actually, Maureen, where it's I've watched incredible things happen. They have I wish that you and I were together right now, because they have a topical of this redox stuff that it's sitting behind me. You can see it, that white tube.
Oh, okay.
Put it on. So you can localize where you signal the repair. Okay. So if I'm at an event, I'll take people that come up to the front of the room. Everybody's in discomfort somewhere. And I'll say, okay, scale of 1 to 10, how bad? All right. Take a little sample, go home, go sit down, rub it on 3 times over the next 5 minutes. At minute 10, I'm going to say, come back up here. And I give them the mic, because I am so confident what 9 out of 10 of them are going to tell me. Wow. And it's that quick, because it's the body knows. And if you tell the body where the issue is, the body's going to go, okay, all hands on deck. Let's go repair. Let's go deal with what's going on in that area. And it's there are options. And so, it's interesting, because for a long time, I think people question, why would I listen to this girl? I remember a nurse saying to her husband, oh, some pretty little girl just sold you salt water. And I said, let me talk to your wife, And so I met her. She's now 6 years. She's been on the product. She's had things fall off her skin that she was waiting to get into a dermatologist for. She's had the most incredible things. And she's like, Danielle, I always laugh, because I never expected someone like yourself to have something. And I said, well, Virtus made a choice, like going back to that story, when he couldn't bring it to market in the traditional way, right? Because this industry was not interested in having something that repairs at the root. He said, I will bring it to market through word of mouth, because that's going to be the fastest way for it to get to the people that need it. And he wanted to get it out of the United States very quickly so it could get out from under the control of, our regulatory agencies and get to the masses. And so they founded ASEA as a network marketing company, which a lot of people have issues with that. I think when done well, it's beautiful because everybody wins, right? Yeah. Like, someone gets to hear from a friend that loves them about something that friend trusts. And it's like, okay, I hear you. Let me try it. If this sat on a store shelf, like it looks like saline, no one's heard of redox. You can react to it like I did and laugh. You don't have parents for 6 months saying, do it, Danielle, do it, Danielle.
Right. I love the awareness of, I think this is what I love about this podcast. And I love when we get into these higher vibrations and energies is now we're so much more open-minded and willing to try these things. One of my guests in a couple of episodes ago, her name is Amy Stein. And since she was 5 years old, she was just told there's something wrong with you, and she was in pain and her body was falling apart, and the doctors just thought she was crazy. How they, when you say something's wrong with me and they do all the tests and say there's nothing wrong with you, you think you're crazy, they think you're crazy. It is frustrating, or they'll call it IBS or fibromyalgia. I just feel like those are the catch-alls for any problem you have. Let's just call it IBS or fibromyalgia. And Amy went out into her backyard and started picking her weeds. And she is now the amateur herbalist. And she talks about how you can do foraging, and everything that we need from nature has been there through millions of years. And this is another one of those things where, you know what? Let's find these things that are out of the norm. Let's get proactive about telling the government you don't have all the answers. Medical community, you don't have all of the answers. I'll take it. When I need you to stabilize me, or I need, to find out if I have a brain tumor, or I need, really,
there. Right?
Yes, I do want, when I need stitches, or, although I could probably do that myself. But no, I mean, I just think we need, like you said, people are starting to advocate. And I think that's the shift. The shift is, if you don't like what your doctor tells you, go to another one. If you don't like what that one does, go to a homeopathic doctor. Go to these natural paths who you're going to have to pay out of pocket because the insurance will not cover.
Everything in my accident, like everything was out of pocket. Like all the things that worked, they didn't cover, but they were happy to pay for a pill that helped with migraines. That side effect was more migraines if I took too much of it. And I was like, is this a joke?
Right. That's exactly how the arthritis injections and stuff are. It's like, I'm in extreme pain. By the way, this injection can cause extreme pain, Maureen. Okay, great.
Great. Sign me up. Like,
problem is, I mean, the solution is worse than the problem. But yes, you're absolutely right. And I just feel we have to advocate. And I think it's just like life coaching versus therapy. They're going to pay for counseling and therapy because they can regulate it. And you have to stick to a norm in a box of how you talk to people in therapy. In life coaching, I use unconventional methods. I'm going to make you scream out the window, I'm so amazing. And I've done that with clients. Or I'm going to make you do something that's so far out of your comfort zone. And the insurances are not going to pay for that because they think their way is the only way, and only because time has tested it. Well, things get antiquated all the time. A rotary phone works. It doesn't mean I want to keep using a rotary phone versus a cell phone. I mean, we get that it works, but is it work as great as this cell phone? And does it have all the unique qualities and new and updated stuff? That's how I view the new medication and new methods outside of chemicals.
That was a perfect analogy. Yes, it works, but does it mean that I want it? No, because there's a better way. And and the thing is, it's like, I think people's ego gets in the way. I know mine did, right? And I constantly am telling myself, you don't know what you don't know. You need to stay open. that intention that I used, I am open and patient during my recovery. I still to this day am like, no, that's what it needs to be. Like, got to be open, because who knows how something is going to come to you? Like, who knows? The answer might be right here listening to the two of us, right? You have no idea how the universe is going to move things into your path, but like, you have to pay attention. You have to be looking, waiting, listening. Like, the signs are everywhere,
Yes.
And, yeah.
Be receptive. Be receptive to the cooperative components, because you don't know how it's going to come into your existence. And I believe that things come into your existence the way you need them to come in. It's not the way that it presents to Danielle is not going to be the way it presents to Maureen. I'm going to have my aha moment with something that resonates deepest with me, and you're going to have your aha moments with things that, like your mom and dad, seeing the difference in your mom and dad and hearing about athletes. Well, that wouldn't resonate with me. I'm not an athlete. I'm lucky if I can get out of bed and bend over and put my shoes on. So, we're going to hear it in a different way. So I think this is so cool. And I love that we can see it in the background. And guys, we're going to go into, Danielle giving you all the ways to contact her, but it's ASEA is the company, ASEA, and it is Redox. And so we're going to give you her, give me all of the websites and the ways that people can find you. Also the book, we want them to definitely, let's talk about what's in your book that people will learn as well from your experience.
Yeah. Well, and for ASEA to say this, like, guys, don't go out there and go buy it. Okay. Like, get it through someone like myself, because there's education that goes along with it. Can help you get the right amount. Like, there's people selling this stuff on Amazon that's expired product. Okay. So like, make sure if you're getting something for your health, you get it in a legit way. And I can help you get the best pricing. So it's just my name, Danielle.teamasea.com. And I'm sure we can put that in a link somewhere.
I will.
That just click the contact me. There's a little button right there on the website that says contact me. Put your phone number. I can text you, we can email and just have a conversation. Like, to me, my passion is education. So I want to make sure people understand what it is, how it works, get your questions answered. I can get you plugged into stuff that's password protected that you can't find if you Google it. If you Google this, I will tell you, you're going to see stuff that says it's saltwater. It's a scam. And guess what? Those websites where it's saying that, they're funded by doctors that are tied to the pharmaceutical industry. And it is like, if you don't know what you don't know. So I get educated properly. Yeah. One of those websites was actually, I know so well because science-based medicine. It was that website that made me tell my mom so adamantly, it's a scam, Mom, it's a scam. And then this doctor, Dr. Silverman, when I finally met him, he said, Danielle, did you ever look at the doctors behind that website? And I was like, no. And he goes, you should. They're all tied to a certain industry. And I was like, holy cow. And he goes, go look at everything else. They bash functional medicine, acupuncture, chiropractic. They bash everything that's not a pill. And I was like, God, I was so ignorant, right? And like, sometimes it sucks to have to look in the mirror and go, man, I got that one wrong.
Yeah, but I don't think so. I don't think you were ignorant at all. I think it is just we are unaware that there's options. Like this is programming. Like when you're brought up in a family and you're told the same thing over and over and over and over, it is not your fault that you don't know there's other options. It's what was programmed into you.
The internet, right? Like I trusted Google. Like we're so used to going to Google, and it's like I have so much awareness now with friends I have that have YouTube shows, that, podcasts like yourself, like the censorship that's out there. There are a lot of messages that aren't being heard. And it's like, whoa, but you don't know, like as the average, until you're in it, like you have no idea. Just like the medical community. I didn't realize until I was in it so deeply that it was like, something is broken,
Yes.
Yeah. And so I got on a tangent on that, but to answer your question about the book, here's the thing. I wrote this book. It's called Mind Control. It's All in Your Head. And it's free to download because I just feel like you're a coach. Coaches, mentors, what do they do for us? They collapse time. They help us figure out things and learn things in a short time frame. So you don't have to go through the 10-year journey that I've been on to gain some of these pieces of knowledge. And I think like, I look at it as like, okay, so I gained this knowledge, I can give it out. So now that brings you up to this level. Now, someone else is going to gain some other knowledge that then they're going to zoom me up to their level, right? And this is how we just help each other because we're all connected. And so this book, it's basically 4 pieces. Like, it goes into the first thing you need to do when you're having obstacles, when you're being triggered. Like, that's what it's all about, because that's what I went through. And it's like how to observe the situation, realize that you're seeing it through a lens. I talk about seeing it through a pair of sunglasses, and then realize like, okay, I'm looking at it from something unfinished from the past. What is that? How do I remove the sunglasses? And then how do I take control back of my own life? How do I start to decide how I want to interact and react? And then it just gets into this piece that we touched on earlier of creation, where once you realize that you have control, you can start to intentionally create, and you can create your life by design. And that's what I've done. It's what I continue to do. And it is such a blast. And I am being here is by creation. I was like, I want to connect with other people that are already sharing the same message that I am, and have a group of people that would really resonate. Like, let's have fun conversations with those types of people. Boom, here we are. Like,
yes.
It's like, yes. Once you get intentional, things open, it's
this
amazing.
Is the epidemic that I hope is going to spread like wildfire. And it is. And it's, when you're, for the listeners that are listening, you're here because you're in this journey of awareness. You're in this journey of enlightenment and wanting better. And you're choosing to be here to listen. And I love that more people are choosing joy and choosing to live a life fulfilled. And you don't know what you don't know until you know. And then once you're in this higher vibration, you can't go back. It's like, I can't unsee something.
Exactly, you can't. If you go down the rabbit hole, like, you're down there.
Exactly. And I feel like, since I started life coaching and, doing my speaking and my books, I just, there's no way for me to go back to that person that I was. And the friends that were there when I started that didn't grow and evolve with me, our contract had to end. There's people who are right on board, who are like right there growing with me. We're arm in arm. And you'll meet those people. That law of attraction is that which is like itself will attract. And this is the fun thing. You're going to come into awareness with people. I'm on my soapbox now. You're going to come into awareness. Danielle and I would never have met in any other way, shape, or form. We're in totally opposite ends of the country. There's no way Danielle and I would never have crossed paths, met, no way, no how. And this is the beauty of it, is when you're in this space of joy and wanting to help and teach and lift.
Well, Maureen, let's talk about this for a minute, because like, how did we get connected? Like, this to me, I always love to, because you're right. When you get to a certain vibration, it's like, I think of myself as like a lighthouse. Like, I'm just putting out a beacon, and I know people are looking for a certain light, and then zing, we come together,
Yes.
And so what happened? I started to get out on Instagram. Like, I started to explore the Instagram platform, and I'm like, how do you connect with people? Who would I want to connect with? I connected with someone that was some podcast name, right? And she liked something I posted. So I direct messaged her, and I asked her something about what she does. This is Dawn. Okay. So then Dawn and I get on a phone call, because I'm like, you're incredible. Like, we hit it off. We had a great conversation. She's like, I want to help you, and we have an amazing conversation. I have all these people that I know that like your message would just resonate. And she was like, let me introduce you. So she puts us in touch. And it's like, how did that happen? I don't know. The internet somehow connected the two of us. You can't make this stuff up. Like, that's why I love social media. It's like, the universe has a lot of ways to work on social media, and you can, I always think, well, I'm putting out a certain vibration on there because I want a certain people to resonate there. And the ones that don't, then my content will make no sense to them. And the ones that do, I'm like, those are the people I'm looking for, right? And it's like, ding, we find each other. So,
exactly. If you love soccer, you don't go looking for friends at a football game. It's really what we're doing. We're in the arena together, and we do what we love, and our combined passion is, let's help each other. That's the bottom line. Let's love and help each other, and let's be kind. And someone needs the information that we have. And all of us are so individual in our experience that there should never be anyone out there. I want to say, never think you're in competition with anyone, because you're so unique and you're so individual. And whatever it is you're going through, the knowledge you have is for you to share. And there's no competition with me or Danielle, because we all have something to bring. We all have something to bring. And the pie is infinity. There's no, I only get one slice. No, it's infinity for all of us. And in fact, we get more by sharing and by lifting and by supporting each other. So this podcast for me is exactly that. I'm like, heck yeah, if I can help anyone, just one person, the starfish story, that's
well, it is, and that's everything. Like, who does it matter to? If it matters to one, it matters to everything, and we're all connected. I think this is what people like miss. Comparison is the thief of joy. Like, you have no idea what someone's been through. Like, if someone were to compare their life to mine, oh, she's so lucky. No.
That one makes me like, I'm going to go into spazzing because there's no luck. There's no luck.
No, it's like you have to, like, I've done so much inner work that I know, like, a lot of people would shrink away from because they're not ready yet. But when you're ready, like, you'll know and you'll go, okay, like, I'm ready to face this. But like, it takes time. And I think in this lifetime, there's certain lessons for certain ones of us to learn, and it's like, stay in your lane. Like, this is your game of life. You're meant to have your challenges, your obstacles, all of this, your creation. Like, that's where it is. If you see somebody else going through something or achieving something, I'm like, way to go and teach me what you know.
Yes. I am all about that. You never will. If you go through life thinking you know everything, then you're going to live a very, very lonely life. For me, like, I'm not going to stop learning, until the minute I live my physical body. And that's my intent, is every person I come into existence with, no matter what it is. And it doesn't matter whether they've written books or they do podcasts none of it. Every person who crosses my path, I think there's a nugget of wisdom in there that I'm supposed to know. Let me talk to them and let me see what's their story. That's it. Even if it's think about the little tidbits that people give you where they have a cute little saying. I love the older generation because I think they're funny and they have no, excuse my language, but no F's to give anymore.
Yes.
And I think the older you get, you have less F's left in your bucket and then they say the most quirky things. I have a neighbor across the street. He is a old Navy pilot. He was in, was it Nam? Might have been Vietnam. Anyway, when I was looking for a house, I pull up and we pulled in front of his house, which was across the street from the house that I live in now, but we were looking at. And we were a little bit too far over his driveway. And he came out and he was just this grumpy, grouchy old man. And I'm telling the realtor, I'm like, I don't know if I want to live across from this guy.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I adore him. 16 years I've been living here. And that man, he cracks me up. His garage door was open the other day. My husband ran over there with his pool towel on and hit the button and ran out. And I told my neighbor and he goes, I saw your husband yesterday and he looked like he wanted to go streaking down the street. Now we are like bonded. And had I kept that opinion of him being this grouchy old man, I would never have talked to him. I would never have reached out to him. I would have ignored him because I wasn't open to receiving what he could teach me. And he's amazing. And not everybody gets him. Not everybody gets him, but I do because I know deep inside who he really is. And his gruffness is just, he was military, he was a big guy.
Stuff like, you can't blame him.
He was a pilot in a war and he was like high up in the Navy military. And he's just rough around the edges. That's his personality. It's being able to look past that to people in the world and don't judge by surface. Don't judge by what people do and say always. You got to get past that and kind of break through some people's shells. So we are a little bit over time, but so Danielle Team ASEA. I wrote it down. I couldn't say it. It's TEAMASEA. I'm going to have all of these links, everybody, on this. She also has Facebook at discoverintention. And Instagram is at _Danielle Matthews _. And then her book, go find it? Is it available on everywhere, Barnes & Noble, or is it just your website?
So I would go to the website. Yep. brainbodyself.com/ebook. And you just put in your email and then it'll download right to you.
Oh, how fabulous. Guys, you hear that, listeners? How awesome is that? You just go to brainbodyself.com/ebook and you can read this book today. Absolutely wonderful that she shares all of this knowledge, all of her experience. So before we go, I always have to ask my going away questions, which is, you're marching in a movement downtown and 100,000 people behind you and you got a banner. What does your banner say about changing the world, Danielle?
Oh, wow. What a fun question. What does my banner say? It all starts within. It all starts within. I love that. Master your inner world and you are going to be a blessing to every single person. I live at the Amrit Yoga Institute now, and Guru Dev, he's still living. And he said, I wrote a quote years ago that said, if you could give one gift to the world, that gift would be to have peace within yourself. Because when you have peace within yourself, you will bring peace and find peace wherever you go. But when you have troubles within yourself, you will bring troubles and find troubles wherever you go. And so if you want to be a gift to the world, it's peace. And to me, it's all within, right? And that's what comes all around. So that's what my banner would say. And that's what his would say.
I love that. Namaste to that. Oh, I feel that. I feel that in a big way. And then the fun question I always end with is, what is your shameless self-indulgence that you do?
Oh my God, I love ice cream. So I did.
I have never seen more ice cream lovers in my life since I've been asking this question. Literally, that is like the majority of everybody's self-indulgence. That's
so funny. Well, it was just my birthday. So we got an ice cream cake and I'm like, can I take home the ice cream cake? Heck
yeah, it's your birthday, sister. You better take that cake home.
Ice cream every day for 4 days. I'm like, that's an indulgence for sure.
What is your go-to flavor?
Oh, see, I love to have chocolate and vanilla I put dark chocolate on top of it. So that I have the crunch of big chocolate on top. That's my favorite.
Oh, that's if I could analyze personality wise, that's cool. That's like Danielle saying, I can have everything I want.
Exactly how I want it, right? Everybody, that's my message to you. You can do.
I love it. I've been doing personality tests for my clients and my family lately, and they are
they are revealing.
Oh, they are so spot on. And the old antiquated way was the Myers-Briggs, where there were 4 types. There's now 6. There's 16 now. And so it's super, super interesting. I'm going to send you a link to that because you guys should go take the test. And so mine is pretty obvious. What do you think I am?
Well, I don't know the Myers-Briggs language. So the way I know it is words like promoter and this and that. And to me, you're a blue personality. You've got a promoter personality. I don't know what that is in the Myers-Briggs world.
Yes. So this is I love this website that I found, and I'm going to promote them for a second. And it's called 16 Personalities. And it's so cool. So I'm an INFP, obviously, and now they have a little dash after it, which is an assertive or turbulent. And so I'm an assertive, and I am the mediator of the world, which is free flow nature, bringing people together, feelings. So introverted, intuitive feelings, prospecting. That's
nice.
So it's really interesting. I've done my grandson who lives with me, and I've done my husband, and they were just absolutely scary, spot on. So
well, it's so nice because then you know how to interact. Right? Because it's we're all so unique, and the way you see the world and interact with it is totally different from different personality types. And it's oh, I get it. Now I see through how you see it. Okay. It makes it so much easier. In my work, I coach and train people, and understanding their personalities, it's because I can't train everybody the same way. I can't coach everybody the same way. They don't respond to it. So I gotta kind of be like a chameleon where I change based on the person I'm in front of to support them. But yeah, I'm going to take this. It's a good hurricane activity. So tomorrow.
It really is. It takes literally 15 minutes, but then it tells you, you know, what are your strengths and weaknesses? How does your personality affect relationships, friendships, jobs? It's just, oh my gosh, it's amazing. I'll send it to you after. So guys, we're going to wrap it up with that. And again, I'll put all those links to get a hold of Danielle. Danielle, you are absolutely fabulous. And I'm so happy that you would join me during a hurricane. From now on, if anyone wants to cancel anything on me, I'm going to say, yeah, but are you going through a hurricane? And if they say no, then I'm going to say, then you can be here because Danielle was here. So I so appreciate you showing up during your hurricane. And on a serious note, please be safe. And everyone in the path, please, we send you lots of protection and white light today. And make sure that you're out of harm's way in your little bubble. And thank you for being you. Thank you for what you do in the world. Thank you for sharing your story and sharing your light, and for just being the beautiful soul that you are. Listeners, thank you for being here. Do not forget to go out and do your 5-star reviews and help build this community. Also, let me know if you have any questions, any comments, would like to be a guest, or need to get a hold of Danielle as well. So on that note, everyone, have a fabulous day.
Thank you for tuning in to the I Never Knew podcast. If you found today's episode inspiring and educational, please be sure to follow, subscribe, and spread the word. The more people that join the Inc. community, the more it can develop and influence others as we work together for a healthier and brighter future. Until next time.